The devil is a Democrat. On MacDonald. Let's see what's going on.
The propaganda is on every channel. They think we stupid like the truth is just too hard to handle. Put on your camo, it's a culture war and load the ammo. They want Antifa ruling everything like it's Seattle. And they want anyone who's fighting to be dead and canceled. They want rainbows in the classrooms and 15 different bathrooms and white guys that hate black dudes. They want war, they don't want peace.
Welcome to Pegasus versus the World, where we take on challenges, comedy, trending topics, and some travel. City boy, city boy. All right, you guys, we are checking out officially Tom MacDonald. The devil is a Democrat. Wild. That's a wild, wild, wild title. That is a wild title. I have many thoughts about that title off the rip. I have many thoughts about that. But I'm going to hold those thoughts until I listen to more of this track. Now, as I just played the first 22 seconds, I can't lie, that beat is crazy. And Tom is on his rap shit. Like, Tom really be rapping. However, I missed his last release. I think it was a white boy something. And if I'm just being honest, I didn't react to that because, you know, I've seen so many, like with him specifically, so many like white boy songs. So I was just, you know, holding off. And here we go. He's back on, I'm going to guess this is going to get political, you know, and it's getting kind of wild in America. So we will see where this goes. Now, I don't know. I get on this channel specifically and talk politics from time to time, or just air out grievances or ideas of things that I'm seeing, which falls under this channel's ideology, trending topics, right? Because a lot of these things. So I thought this was perfect to kind of see what he's saying and go over it and rock. Now, I like Tom MacDonald. I felt like in a time where some of this messaging was important, 2020 and through that phase and era, no one was really getting after it like Tom in this specific realm. And I've grown to like him. I've taken a lot of scrutiny, a lot of my peers, let's say, in the industry don't like Tom. That's just the truth. However, I always stick up. I'm like, yo, man, this is the reason I like this, that, and the other, right? I try to be as authentic, not trying to pander to his audience, their audience, etc. I just call it how I see it. So that's what we're going to do here today. And vibe. That's crazy that he got the whole American flag blooded out. Yo, I just can't wait to talk about, to actually dive into what I think in some of this aspect. But let's get it. You guys know where I'm watching this from. This is from Tom MacDonald's channel. So go watch this over there without me. That's always important for all the artists I react to, because reactions are never a substitute for the original content, ever. It's never a substitute for the original. So let's just be on point there. Yeah, go support them. Stream their music, do all that stuff, and let's rock. Let's see what he's talking about. The devil is a Democrat. He don't waste no time. It's just, boom, watch.
The propaganda is on every channel. They think we stupid like the truth is just too hard to handle. Put on your camo, it's a culture war and load the ammo. They want Antifa ruling everything like it's Seattle. And they want anyone who's fighting to be dead and canceled. They want rainbows in the classrooms and 15 different bathrooms and white guys that hate black dudes. They want war, they don't want peace. They want fentanyl in our streets. They want borders to be weak. I swear the devil lives in California. He a politician. He passing bills that bring chaos and division. Yeah, the devil lives in California. Should be in prison. He got horns, but he tries to keep them hidden. Cause the devil is a Democrat. And we don't play that. They say that. They love America. We know it ain't that. Cause the devil is a Democrat. And we ain't with it. We ain't switching. Y'all are tripping. I guess God just built us different. They get celebrities to do they.
So this is really interesting. Some of these premises and this is really interesting. He said the devil is a Democrat and is in California. And he lives in California. And I wonder how that affects him, right? Because he's a high earner, you guys. He's doing really well for himself. And I think that's dope. But knowing how they tax, and there's loopholes, and you can move and shake. He probably has a good account, but you're still paying these taxes in Cali, which are crazy. Because even, anyways, I've been doing a deep dive on taxes because I just got back from Europe, and I always thought that the Europeans were taxed so much heavily, more than us. But when I start thinking about what I pay in my actual taxes every year, then on the taxes at the register, I don't own a house, so I don't pay property tax, but that property tax, if you include that, then when you include health insurance, because their taxes go towards their health care, I was like, am I getting taxed at the same rate? Because I always told, anyways, that's a whole nother story. I'm just trying to say that, if you're fighting against this, I think it's good to be vocal about it, right? To be vocal, get it out there. But I wonder if we should be moving, I guess is the question. I live in Colorado, and I am troubled with the direction Colorado is going politically for a lot of different reasons. But do you move and stop paying taxes and stop funding what you disagree with? I guess that was my first thing. Then the second thing is, I don't believe this. If I'm just being honest with you guys, I don't believe the devil is a Democrat. I just don't. Just like when the Democrats say the devil is a Republican, I don't believe that either. Hear me out. He's highlighting a small portion of the Democratic Party, in my opinion. The radicalized, the extreme, the super progressive left side. And it's easy to magnify those things with social media because social media is an algorithm. They don't push to you like, my dad's a Democrat, dog. My dad is not. Bro, he's for traditional marriage. He's not for abortion. Like my dad, like on paper, I'm like, I still don't understand why he votes Democrat, if I'm being honest. But I do know why, because his circumstance in life, he dealt with, in his military career, he had to deal with some racially led components, specifically for him to become a fire chief, which never happened. And I believe it's interesting. Because of that and dealing with that and dealing with other things, he's from a different era than I'm from, right? Like me being from the 80s, 90s era, like racism and the way race relations have been engaged have gotten better and better over every generation. So he had to deal with things that I didn't have to deal with. And the Democrat Party was sold as the party that's for, people of color, right? And that's just what it is. But it's really crazy because my dad's super traditional. He was married to my mom for 31 years until she passed away from cancer. Hardcore Christian, still goes to church, but he votes Democrat. So to just say the devil is a Democrat, it's crazy because it's like I saw a post from him. That's the only reason I'm saying this. Tom MacDonald's like, yo, I just basically dissed half the country or something. I'm paraphrasing. But really, when you listen to it, it almost sounds like he's just talking about Gavin Newsom. That's what it really seems like. He's aiming these things at Gavin Newsom. And what's ironic is even though I identify and agree, like this is why we homeschool, because in Colorado, they're starting to teach the pronoun stuff as early as, I believe, first grade. And I just want my kids to learn how to read, write, arithmetic, do science, do math, history. I don't want anything extracurricular. Nothing. It's not needed. If you cutting out the Bible and God from school, you can cut out all the other BS. They chose to cut out God and the Bible. So then don't add these other things, these extracurricular things. My child doesn't need that. So that's just where I stand. I'm not here to get like super, crazy on these topics, but that's what's ironic about this song. So far, everything he said, first and foremost, I like the beat. He did like this trap, like hood style kind of hook. I'm like, yo, that's dope. And I actually agree with him on the messaging for the most part. But my thing is like, I saw the Democrats generalizing Republicans and MAGA people for 4 years in 2020. And this is what they did. So I'm starting to see it like this. When we do that, we start radicalizing parts of the population. Antifa is radical. He's right. Bro, have you ever heard of the Weather Underground? Go do the knowledge on the Weather Underground. Super far left group blowing up federal buildings in America on American soil. The story's crazy. And now a lot of them are teachers at university in America. These people who are blowing up federal buildings. Yes, there's radical people on the left, but we also have radical people on the right. And I remember that, in 2020, when the Biden admin was in, they were targeting and kind of propping up people on the right. And they're just generalizing. They're generalizing. And I move against that. I think it's counterproductive. The other thing is, the one thing I've been tripping on lately, I think it's almost like 200 million American citizens that don't vote. Think about that real quick. On average, I think, you're in that 150 to 170 million people voting. I could be off with that a little bit. I'm not no statistician, but you get what I'm saying. There's a lot of people who don't vote in America and have no representation. So I don't know. That's my take from first hearing this so far. That's just my honest opinion and how I feel and where I stand with everything. And I'm just keeping it a buck. You tapping in the comments, it's all gravy. I read the comments. Let's go.
And we don't play that. They say that they love America. We know it ain't that. The devil is a Democrat, and we ain't with it. We ain't switching. Y'all are tripping. I guess God just built us different. They get celebrities to do they talking. They get mansions while they cram us all into apartments. Tell us it's cool to stay in school and then make you retarded. If you ain't liberal, then they treat you like you human garbage. If you speak up, then you a target. They want their voice through an amplifier. Violence and our flag on fire. No voter ID required. They want war, they don't want peace. They want defund the police. They want you surrounded by screens. The devil lives in California. He a politician. He passing bills that bring chaos and division. Yeah, the devil lives in California. Should be in prison. He got horns, but he tries to keep them hidden. Cause the devil is a Democrat. And we don't play that. They say that. They love.
I mean, to me, it seems like he's being super straightforward and honest with, it sounds like he's calling out Gavin Newsom specifically. So like the nuanced conversation I'm having about like, my pops being a Democrat, there's a lot of moderate Democrats, you guys, like a lot. Like people would be surprised. They just vote that way because they were fed propaganda. Like that's the thing. Like I didn't even know the Democratic Party was the party of the KKK until like 6 years ago. So there's a learning curve. So I'm here to represent the people on the learning curve who are like, oh shit. And if I'm being honest, this whole shit's a uniparty. Because half of the shit he said in the beginning of this last verse, the Republicans are doing as well, right? There's been a culture shift. There's been a culture shift in the 2024 election. And when you start watching all the celebrities coming out endorsing Donald Trump, etc., right? It's the same thing that the Democrats were doing. They just had a lead in it because the Democrats are more popular because of what they quote unquote represent. But the more people learn about the truth and get the truth, like myself, you stand opposed to it. You're like, bro, you're selling me a dream. That's how I am with the Democratic Party. But at the same time, I see like wasn't it Bush who ushered in the Patriot Act and we went to war? Like, what is the difference between the parties, bro? It's really weird because Donald Trump did Project Warp Speed. Biden just mandated it. It's almost like they're passing the baton back and forth. We're gonna see where they go with all the AI and the surveillance state. Now that companies like Palantir, somewhat have their connections with they're CIA. They're connected to CIA. So it's just like you'll see all these people on the right who are like, they want to have this freedom and break down the surveillance state and stuff like that. But your representation has just handed over the new AI tech and surveillance state to literally the CIA at some capacity. Look into it. So I just think it's a uniparty, dog. I think they're all working together at some capacity. I thought that's just me right now. That's where I'm at. I'm just going to keep it real. People get mad. They're going to get mad right now. I was sold on Donald Trump to drain the swamp. He's not draining the swamp, dog. Do the knowledge. And y'all could say whatever you want. I'm not dissing him. I'm still not. See, that's the thing. I'm not willing to go hate on Donald Trump. I just, he was kind of propped up as this new thing that was going to bring these things. And we're seeing it with the files that aren't getting released, with this, with that. So I'm a patient person. I let things ride. And if I'm incorrect, I have no problem coming out and being like, I was wrong on that. And I'm going to keep it real. There's stuff that Donald Trump does that I actually like in real time right now. People are like, how could you like anything he does? There's some stuff that I think he's doing is fire to me. I think he's mixing it up. There's shit that I really like, but there's also some big things that are important to me personally that I'm just like, bro, what does this mean for our future and our kids' future and this, that, and the other? So, that's just, but again, just back to my basic point of I still think it's a uniparty. And I think highlighting, magnifying the extreme part of each party is a part of their plan to divide us even further. And it's funny because Tom speaks on that. He talks about the division. But that's what I honestly think, because I go out in the real world and do mad different shit. I was just in Kentucky, and like, there's all these different things being sold to me on social media that I'm just not seeing in real life. So that's just my take on some of this so far. But yeah, the beginning of this, I think both parties do a lot of that stuff. But then, hold on, let's just go back through it, actually.
They want war, they don't want peace. They want defund the police.
So I do think Donald Trump wants peace. And because of circumstances, it's probably not going to happen. But I think on overall, he's actually one of the first presidents who's actually like pursued peace at a crazy level. But I mean, there's a lot of things he's tied into, and there's a lot of things happening in real time. But I've never seen a president in my lifetime just go so hard, like, yo, we want peace, but then, here we are. We're still at war. So, and war brings in America a lot of money. I was watching this video about how the U.S. military trumps every freaking country. And I was actually really surprised. I thought maybe China was getting close to us and other countries, and they're not close at all. They're not close at all. So it's an industry. Anyways.
You surrounded by screens. The devil lives in California. He a politician. He passing bills that bring chaos and division. Yeah, the devil lives in California. Should be in prison. He got.
And to be clear, I'm absolutely on board with the Republicans when it comes to it's so nonsensical to defund the police, right? But I do think there's like barriers to entry because, it's funny when hits the fan, right? And it's time to be like a true patriot. The police and the people are separated, right? Like, because the police do have to do the bidding of, whoever's in power. So there's certain things, but again, I'm totally like, there's a bunch of stuff I agree with, especially with traditional values just in general on the Republican side of things. But, there's just a lot of faulty stuff that I've seen. I was like, damn, this is kind of wild to me.
Horns, but he tries to keep them hidden because the devil is a Democrat. And we don't play that. They say that. They love America. We know it ain't that. 'Cause the devil is a Democrat. And we ain't with it. We ain't switching. Y'all are tripping. I guess God just built us different, dog. The devil is a Democrat. That's a fact. That's the truth. Look how bad that it gets when it's blue. The devil is a Democrat. That's
He's talking about these cities, bro. He's talking about my hood. He's talking about, I don't live in Denver, but he's talking about Denver, Chicago, New York, California. It ain't no damn secret that these inner cities are off the frickin' chains. And I see people giving, I think it is Donald Trump, some backlash for him trying to clean up Washington, D.C., and they're like, oh, this is racist, this, that, and the other. But I'll keep it real, dog. I'm raising kids. All the gang stuff, like, clean it up, dog. Get the F out of here. I'm straight. Like, I'm tired of getting on these reaction videos. And, like, all my audiences from around the world are just like, yo, America's actually really crazy. Like, people are, like, scared to come here. And I'm like, nah, dog, this is the most beautiful, wonderful country in the world. But then I'm like, what do I have to back that up? Because as I talk about seeing things in real time, I also do see the distressors. Like, I don't even go to downtown Denver or even downtown Colorado Springs at that matter, because it's like, yo, to me, the highlights of Colorado are like hiking, the woods, like the outdoors, this, because everything else is just like, it's homeless people everywhere, dirtiness everywhere, crazy people doing stupid stuff. And for how many people we have in our country, it's not like, I guess on paper is bad, but dude, I don't want to risk nothing having kids, dog. I got to get home to my kids, and my kids got to get home to me, and that's just what it is. Anyways.
Rap, it ain't news, and the way they treat America is proof. I swear the devil lives in California, $100 bills. He knows everyone in Hollywood and parties in the hills. Give you everything you ever wanted, plus a couple mil for your soul, and your vote is a deal. Cause the devil is a Democrat, and we don't play that. They say that they love America, we know it ain't that. Cause the devil is a Democrat, and we ain't with it, we ain't switching. Y'all are tripping, I guess God just built us different, dog. The devil is a Democrat, and we don't play that. They say that they love America, we know it ain't that. Cause the devil is a Democrat, and we ain't with it, we ain't switching. Y'all are tripping, I guess God just built us different, dog. The devil is a Democrat.
Yeah, I mean, let's just talk about the track for a second. This is a banger. I ain't gonna lie. This is a banging beat. I like the hook. Sometimes I'm not like super fan of his hooks. I like this one.
Propaganda is on every channel.
Because the way the beat just drops like that, it's just like. Anyways, I ranted enough about politics on this, but that's what this was. This was a political song. You know what I'm saying? The thing is, hear me out, because y'all probably wilding right now in the comments, but I'm just going to keep it a buck. I'm keeping it a motherfucking buck right now. Everything he said was true at some capacity. Like, the Democratic Party does represent almost every single thing he was highlighting. However, that part of the Democratic Party, in my opinion, doesn't represent even, like, it just doesn't represent the full Democratic Party. Like, it just doesn't, dog. When you even see like how Congress and Senate is, you got some woke, what do they call them? Woke judges and this, that, and the other. But most of these MFers, bro, I'm telling you, dog, if you really look into this shit, it's a uniparty like a motherfucker, bro. That's why they need term limits. You know what I'm saying? We need some new faces. And I think people are starting to get active. People are starting to see it and starting to feel it. You know what I mean? Anyways, I could, bro, I ain't no politician. I just see things how I see them, right? But I wanted to be clear. The people on the left side are the ones pushing a lot of the agendas he spoke about on here. And I believe there's validity to what he's saying, right? But positioning it, I also think he's strictly taking shots at Gavin Newsom, But when you say the devil is a Democrat, it's just like, well, that's funny. The devil wears Prada. You know what I mean? Yeah, I'm surprised he just didn't have a Prada. Anyways, hey, man, get it, Tom. You know what I'm saying? Again, I think a voice like his is needed in the space to get the conversation started. See, that's the problem I have about all the homies that I got that are just so like, everyone so like hates on Tom in the background, like some of the industry folk. And I understand why. But I'm like, bro, that's why he's needed for the space, dog, to get the convo started. Like, have me someone go on here, rant, and go back and forth with people, and you start getting the conversation started so we can start fixing some shit and figuring it out. Because this shit is messed up. This is really messed up. Anyway, shout out to Tom. I thought that was a banger, if I'm being honest. But I'm not going to just let a bunch of, political ideas go unchecked. Like, I'm going to speak. I'm just going to let you guys know how I think and how I take things in. And you take it for what you want, man. I'm still rocking. You know what I'm saying? This is hard, though. Yo, that's crazy title. This motherfucker knows how to market, don't he? Anyways, holla at your boy. Let me know what I got, what I missed. Tap it in the comments.
City boy, city boy.